The president and founder of Lightray Media Books and Creative Society, Lady Ejiro Umukoro, has called on governments at all levels, policymakers, heads of educational institutions, and other relevant stakeholders to take practical steps towards reviving the waning reading culture among contemporary Nigerian youths.
Lady Umukoro, an award-winning author of Distortion and Hadassa, made the call at the weekend in Asaba in a Distortion World Book Day Festival 2026 held at the conference hall of the office of the Delta State Head of Service.
I went to this library and I was shocked that the library had turned into a place where the entire ceiling is collapsing, the books are wet, nobody cares about it, they're in a state of disrepair. Then we had a very serious issue with regards to the fact that some of the librarians too were not even equipped. They don't even know what librarian functionality requires. So inexperience and lack of professionalism is part of the bane of the libraries in Delta State. And we need to address that. And that's why this book club world event is very important. Now quickly, let me state this, that one of our goals here is to make sure that the libraries in Delta State, they must be revamped. We need a revival of our libraries. We cannot be an oil gas rich state and don't have one of the best libraries in Nigeria. Recently, we saw what happened with regards to the National Library in Abuja. It was all funfair, it was all noise, it was all money making. But where is the money that is funding that library? In other words, other countries like the UK and the US actually celebrate World Book Day, but there is none in Nigeria.
The highly significant event, which had a buy-in partnership with the Delta State Government Office of the Head of Service, was themed That Which Bends, Rises. The event also witnessed the public presentation of Lady Umukoro's award-winning literary works, Distortion and Hadassa. The event was spiced with literary presentations and adoption of book clubs in various schools across Delta State. Remarkable presentations on the enduring values of a cultivated reading culture were made by the functioning Permanent Secretary, Delta State Ministry of Information, Mrs. Stella Macaulay, the Deputy Clerk, Delta State House of Assembly, Smart Edoge, and the Director of State Library Board, Mrs. Irikefe Ediwin. The lead presentation, however, came from the President of Lightray Media Books and Creative Society, Lady Ejiro Umukoro, who made it clear that the event of Friday was a flag-off of a year-long chain of events to promote the culture of reading and telling the story of African experiences in any language of documentation that is open to mutual intelligibility, as this must not be limited to the English language.
At the end of the day, reading culture has to be what's supported across schools in Nigeria, and I think it's also a very important part that schools, Ministry of Education, and all the relevant stakeholders should start taking strongly. And I'm sorry to say, somehow the reading culture seems to be dropping among schools today in Nigeria. That's why I'm happy when I hear clubs like the Reading Club and all of that doing a whole lot of amazing things, because that's the only way we can move forward. So,
past celebration of books and reading, the importance of books and reading has become such that the United Nations had to set out a day to celebrate books and reading.
Reading is one of the best skills that one can acquire.
Lady Ejiro Umukoro used the event to call on stakeholders to take some practical steps towards the revival of the waning reading culture. Some of such steps include building and maintenance of school and public libraries. In her words, the library culture of a necessity promotes a healthy reading culture. It is noteworthy that the reading culture campaign, which was flagged off on Friday, will be continuing on a wider scale on April 23, 2026, as the world celebrates World Book Day.
We need the right people who are well-trained librarians in running the libraries in Delta State. We have, technically speaking, only 27 libraries in Delta State. And that is in a state where you have 25 local government areas. So in other words, we're already how many short in terms of spread? We need to get to a point where we don't just have 27. Every local government in Delta State should have at least 2 significant libraries that are run from the ministries. And then we should be driving for individual private libraries. Lagos has so many private libraries. It's outstanding, the commitment to the evolution of libraries. We even have institutions, I don't want to mention the name of the institution here, where in Lagos, an individual was given a space to have a library in that institution. And now everybody goes to that library. Every single student, the best international people who come outside of Nigeria, go to that library to read and get data from there. And this is where we're driving to. The world has changed. If you go to the Congress Library in the US, that's the US Congress Library, it's the most massive library. I don't think Obasanjo Library comes close to it. The National Library we have in Nigeria, in Abuja, funds were raised for that National Library. Still date. Any one of you here who can confirm for certainty that that National Library project has begun, please let us know. And this is why I'm saying this, because when I went to Kenya, I've gone to other parts of the world, I have seen libraries, beautiful, extraordinary libraries that are up to date, technically speaking, professionally speaking, skill sets, ability to catalog properly. And then one of the key things about libraries is that you must be able to invite people to come to the libraries. What is a library when people do not attend? We need more people to be in those libraries. So we need librarians and members who work in libraries who are friendly to people, who welcome people and say, come to my library, come and read here. We don't want miracle centers. Miracle centers have come to replace our library and resource centers. How dare we allow that? How dare we endorse parents allow their children go to miracle centers rather than go to libraries that will help them become phenomenal? So this is why library conversation here, and that's why we're also giving awards. Another $500,000 naira to any library in Delta State that is up to date. We're going to put that in nomination form, and we're going to ask people to nominate which is the best library in Delta State. The best library in the Delta State, we have a certain criteria that they will meet. Once they meet this criteria, we will open it at our next phase 1 event of the Distortion World Book Festival, right? And then we will expose, as it were, or reveal rather, which of the libraries in Delta State is the most outstanding and why they deserve to earn that money, as a way of encouraging this conversation so that more children goes to library and not miracle.
Speaker after speaker noted that Nigeria is facing an alarming decline in its reading culture. Reports have it that the average Nigerian reads less than 1 book per year. Some have said that if you truly want something hidden from an average Nigerian, that piece of item or information can be safely hidden in a book with the active involvement of all stakeholders, authors, publishers, teachers, librarians, public and private institutions, humanitarian non-governmental organizations, and the mass media, and all those who feel motivated to work together in this world celebration of book and authors. World Book and Copyright Day have become a platform to rally together millions of people all around the world. The role Lady Ejiro Umokoro is playing in Delta with Lightray. Media, books and creative society therefore deserve not just commendation but support from individuals and organizations serious of reviving the book and reading culture. Lady Ejiro Umokoro, award recipient of the United States Agency for Global Media, British Council International Communications Award winner, is the founder and president of Lightray Media Books and Creative Society. Miracle Adokuru, reporting for Quest News.